Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name is Zach Dvorak. I'm a program manager on our Microsoft Endpoint Manager team here at Microsoft. And today I'm going to give you a deep dive into Endpoint Analytics and how you can put the end user experience front and center as part of your device management strategy. First, I'm going to give you an introduction to Endpoint Analytics. Then we'll talk a little bit about what's new and what might be coming soon. I'll give you some tips on how to get started, and I'll wrap up with a call to action. Now, before we can understand Endpoint Analytics, we have to understand Microsoft Endpoint Manager. This is going to be your hub for security, apps, access, compliance, and end user experience, regardless of where you're at in your cloud journey. Whether you're entirely on-prem, you've started doing some co-management, or you're fully cloud managed, Microsoft Endpoint Manager has the data and insights that you need to take a data-driven approach to device management. And we'll continue to invest in Endpoint Manager, as well as our partners, so that you can keep your organization running smooth. Now, over the past few years, I've had countless conversations with IT pros about some of the challenges they face when it comes to ensuring that their end users are having a positive experience. Throughout these conversations, there are really two themes that often bubble up. The first is there's a lack of good signals. I hear from IT pros all the time that they want to make sure that everything works, it's quick, nobody's complaining, and that they're not getting in the way. But there's really only one way to do this in today's world. And that's by looking at the service management database and seeing what kind of help desk calls are coming in. This isn't a great signal for reasons we'll talk about in just a second. The second major theme is there's a lack of big picture context. I hear all the time that IT pros spend most of their time doing reactive work. They'd love to be more proactive. They want to move the needle forward, but they just don't have the time to learn if there's a better way. And even when they do try to implement something new, it's very hard to find that proof that their investments are paying off. Now, when it comes to having good signals to determine what your end users are experiencing, most companies are going to use the typical IT support process. The graph will look something like this. We're going to have a very high volume of low severity incidents. These are going to be things like password resets or calls to the help desk where users say, my device is running slow. The help desk is going to take care of most of these high volume, low severity issues. And then there's going to be a long tail of issues that are higher severity. These will get escalated to tier 1, tier 2, throughout several tiers of escalation, before finally just a very small subset actually make it to the desk of the IT pro. But notice that we've already gone through several rounds of escalation. This takes time, and it's also an expensive process. And then the reality is that on top of what we see here, most actual issues are going unreported, because end users tend to suffer in silence unless they're actually blocked from being able to get anything done. And even when these issues do make it to the desk of the IT pro, we find that it's really easy for pros to miss the big picture. I hear all the time that IT has a tendency to overcorrect. If there's an issue with the deployment, for instance, you're rolling something out and you hear about a mission critical problem, the first inclination is to stop the deployment, roll it back. Even if only a handful of devices would have been affected, all of a sudden we've stopped the deployment for everyone. On the flip side, the help desk has a tendency to undercorrect. If a user calls into the help desk and reports that their device is running slow, the tech will work with them to figure out why and get it fixed. Now, there may be hundreds or thousands of other users experiencing the same issue, but unless they call the help desk as well, that fix will never make it to their devices. Second, we know that mitigations often come with unintended side effects that IT has very little visibility into. You make a change in one place, and it causes something else to break somewhere else. We also know that slow feedback loops force IT to end up treating symptoms rather than underlying issues. Typically, when an end user reports a problem, they're telling you what's happening on their device, they're telling you the symptoms, but they're not telling you what's actually wrong. And the quickest way to close that ticket is often just to treat that symptom. We also hear that configuration changes are mostly evaluated in isolation. When you're evaluating installing a new agent on a device, for instance, you're looking at the impact that that agent has on the device. And it may be negligible, but once you have dozens of these agents, all of those minor impacts really add up. And lastly, we know that user experience has historically been very difficult to quantify. I often hear that when IT pros are evaluating a new procurement decision, let's say it's a security agent, they'll evaluate the cost versus the benefits, but user experience impacts rarely come into the equation because they're just so difficult to assess the impact of. So enter Endpoint Analytics. Our goal with this solution is to help you address those common end user pain points, including the ones that users aren't even aware of or that they haven't reported. We want to help you proactively remediate issues before your users even know that there's a problem, and ultimately remove those productivity blockers so that you can optimize your corporate PCs. This piece is a win-win. Your end users are happier because they have fewer issues on their devices, and it also reduces support ticket volume so that it's easier on your help desk and ultimately on IT. Some of the guiding principles that we use in building Endpoint Analytics are that we want to provide you information that's actionable, timely, and contextual. When I say actionable, we're not about just dumping raw data at you. We want to give you insights that you can actually go do something about. When we say timely, we deliver these to you right when they matter. And by contextual, we're giving these to you where you can actually do something about it, directly in your management tool, and also in a way that makes sense. We're going to give you values for your environment and allow you to compare those to averages across the ecosystem so that you can understand how you're doing relative to other organizations, as well as relative to points in the past. The way we do this is through what we call scores. You'll find these scores throughout Endpoint Analytics, and they're going to range from 0 to 100. They're represented by gray bars like this. Now, a score of 100 represents a best-in-class experience. A score of 0 is pretty terrible. You'll see a green bar that represents how you're doing. That's your score. In this case, it's a 71. And then in order to help you contextualize that, we're going to give you what we call a baseline, which is an indicator of how you stack up. And again, this baseline can either be a comparison to a commercial average, or it can be a comparison to how you were doing at a certain point in the past. If you're rolling out a configuration change next week, for instance, you can snap a baseline today and then use that baseline to see how your score changes as you roll out your new configuration change. And finally, we'll give you this little indicator here that tells you whether there's anything that you need to worry about or that you should drill into. To help you figure out what action to take first, we're also going to give you a series of insights and recommendations. We'll use the score to help you understand relative impact of our recommendations, and that allows you to prioritize these insights to take the most effective actions first. You'll see here that my first insight is telling me that if I replace my hard disk drives with solid states in a handful of these devices, it'll boost my overall score by 7 points. The second insight is telling me that if I were to address some slow group policies that are slowing down my device's boot times, it'll boost my score by 3 points. This helps me prioritize by understanding that the relative impact of replacing the hard disk drives is greater than the group policy. So what type of insights is Endpoint Analytics able to provide you? The current scope of Endpoint Analytics, which is now generally available, involves 3 reports. The first is called Startup Performance, which is going to help you eliminate boot and sign-in delays to help your users get from power on to productivity as quickly as possible. The second piece is what we call Proactive Remediations. This will help you reduce support ticket volumes by fixing common issues before your users call the help desk. Then we have Recommended Software. This is going to help you make sure that you've configured your devices as optimally as possible to promote the best user experience. And finally, we've seamlessly integrated all of this with Productivity Score to make sure you have a holistic view of your environment. Now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Avi, who's going to do a demo of Endpoint Analytics.
Hey everyone, my name is Avi Prasad, and I'm a program manager in Endpoint Analytics. Today, I'm going to be demoing a few of the features that we have shipped in Endpoint Analytics, including a deep dive on proactive remediations.
So let's give you a quick overview of Endpoint Analytics. When you go into the Endpoint Analytics page, you will see your Endpoint Analytics score, which quantifies the quality of the experience that your users are having with their devices. Today, this score comprises of 2 reports called Startup Performance and Recommended Software. I will be digging deeper into these reports in a few moments. You will also see a baseline score that shows how your Endpoint Analytics score compares to that of other enterprises. You can also create new baselines on your current metrics. This allows you to track progress or view regressions over time. Let's take a look at the Startup Performance report. Startup Performance provides you with data and insights on how you can optimize the time it takes for your users to go from power on to productivity without lengthy boot and sign-in delays. To calculate these scores, we look at how long it takes for your devices to complete the process of booting up and signing in. The core boot time consists of the time between powering on your device and seeing the sign-in screen. The sign-in time is the duration between entering your credentials and accessing a responsive desktop. You can view reports on the progression of the boot and sign-in times of these devices over time, along with a breakdown of each phase that contributes to these times. We have also added a report that shows you a list of processes that increases the length of time it takes for your users to reach a responsive desktop. End users can't really be productive until there is sufficient CPU power for them to launch their productivity apps and do their work. And the startup processes report provides you with a sorted list of such processes that impede your users' experience with their devices along with their productivity. We also have another report called Recommended Software that shows you the adoption of certain recommended software in your enterprise that are known to improve end user experiences. The software adoption score shows you a weighted average of the percentage of devices that have deployed various recommended software. Similar to the startup performance report, you will see a software adoption score along with a baseline scope to compare to other organizations. Now let's look into proactive remediations. While talking to customers, we often hear that a handful of issues are usually responsible for the vast majority of help desk tickets that are filed by the end users. Proactive remediations aims to address this matter by fixing such issues before the end user even notices them on their devices. This ultimately provides your end users with a better experience with their devices while also reducing the volume of help desk tickets that get created for such issues. Let's take a look at how this works in Endpoint Analytics. As an IT admin, you might have heard of VPN clients failing on your end users' devices. So today, we will be creating a proactive remediation script package to fix such issues. We do this by using a set of PowerShell script packages. Proactive remediation script packages are a combination of two PowerShell scripts, a detection script and a remediation script. If the detection script detects a certain issue on a device, the remediation script will then execute and fix the issue. On this page, you can assign these scripts to groups. Proactive remediations allows you to configure the frequency cadence and the time when the script will run on the devices. You can also choose to exclude certain groups should you wish to do so. As you can see, I'm configuring these scripts to execute at specific schedules. You have the option to set schedules to run on a daily or hourly cadence, or run it only once if you'd like. Over time, you will start noticing detailed reports and visualizations of how many devices had successfully remediated issues. You can also analyze any potential failures by monitoring the outputs of your script in the Device Status tab. Additionally, our product group will be creating scripts to address issues that our users tend to run into and publish them to your consoles. Today, we have a handful of scripts that you can choose to pilot and deploy to your devices. Another question that we often hear from our customers is whether proactive remediations really works in reducing the volume of help desk calls associated with these issues. Well, let us take a look at some data that we have collected from Microsoft's own IT help desk. Earlier in the year, most employees here at Microsoft were asked to work from home in an effort to contain the spread of the coronavirus disease. As a result of working from home, we noticed a remarkable increase in the usage of VPN services, which coincided with a comparable increase for help desk support related to VPN issues. Endpoint Analytics allowed us to rapidly deploy a wide variety of VPN-related remediations that helped our employees get productive much quicker while significantly reducing the volume of help desk tickets associated with such issues by nearly 35%. Lastly, as the graphic highlights, while the support trend continues to increase for our control group that did not receive the remediations, the group that was treated with the remediations continues to see their help desk ticket volumes trend downwards.
Thanks, Avi. But it doesn't end there. We're continuing to invest in additional new reports within Endpoint Analytics, and I want to give you a sneak peek at what's coming next. What we're working on right now are reports on application reliability and OS restarts. Application reliability is going to help you understand which desktop applications in your environment are getting in the way of end user productivity. These are going to be apps that are crashing a lot, but also get a lot of usage. So these are really hampering that productivity. We're going to also give you information about what you can do about these. And for OS restarts, we're going to help you determine when and why your devices are rebooting so that you can identify unusual spikes and unexpected restarts, such as blue screens. Let's take a look. Now you'll notice I'm back in the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center here. This time I'm using a pre-release environment, so we have this new report called Application Reliability. Now in this report, just like all of our Endpoint Analytics reports, we'll start with a score. In my case, my app reliability score is a 65. And that's contextualized by this baseline, 51, which represents the median across all commercial organizations. So I'm doing relatively better than the typical commercial organization here. Below this, I've got a list of the top apps that are reducing productivity in my environment. Now these are sorted by this app reliability score column here. These are going to be my apps with the lowest scores. When we compute the score, we're going to take into account not only the frequency of crashes, but also the amount of usage that these applications get. That way we're not bubbling up insights on those one-off applications that are crashing 100 times on a single device. These are truly going to be the applications that are getting in the way of your users being productive. On the right-hand side, just like you've seen in the other reports, we've got our insights and recommendations, prioritize so that you can see what actions you can take to help boost this score. So let me click into View All Apps here. And what we've got is a table of all of our applications. You'll notice I've got pages of records here I can scroll through. And for each of these, just like we saw on that home page, I'll have what we call mean time to failure. So this is going to be the average amount of time that this app is able to be used between crashes. We compute this by taking the total usage duration over the past 14 days and dividing it by the total number of crashes. And that's across the entire organization. We use this, as well as that usage metric, to compute our app reliability score. Now, there are some interesting insights that you can get from this right away. One thing that catches my attention is this third app here. Notice that our app reliability score is a 3, but the all organization's median score is a 72. That tells me that this isn't a bad app. I'm probably just doing something wrong in my environment. It's misconfigured. Everybody else is having a good time with this application. My users are really struggling. So let's click in and see what's going on here. Now you'll notice we've got 3 versions of this application across our environment. This first version, version 1, has over 1,000 active devices, and it's crashing every hour and a half. It's crashing all the time. There's a newer version of the app, version 2.0 here. I've only got it on a few of my devices so far, but it's got a substantially less frequent crash rate. It's only crashing once every 72 hours. So a good action here, maybe I can prioritize the rollout of this new version. Instead of keeping users on version 1, which is crashing all the time, I can move them to version 2, and we'll see if that resolves some of these crashes. Now you'll notice we're also going to break this data down by device model, by individual devices, as well as by OS versions. For the sake of time, let's just take a look at devices real quick. You'll notice that on a device-by-device level, we're going to show you the total number of app crashes that these devices are experiencing over the past 14 days. And we're going to give you a device app health score. This is going to be based on what we call our mean time to app failure. So how often do these users of these devices experience an app crash? If I click into one of these, I'll be able to see a timeline of app crash events over time. Now in this particular case, it looks like we have a device here where they experience a few crashes every once in a while. These are crash and hang events. And then they took a break for these couple days. Maybe this was a weekend. And then all of a sudden, we start seeing a very large number of crashes. Now, I can drill in to see exactly what's crashing and when. But it looks like something must have happened over this weekend to cause a sudden spike in app crashes. So perhaps a security patch got rolled out. Perhaps I deployed something new. And we can use this information to start to figure out what's going wrong and use that as the basis for troubleshooting. Now, jumping back to Endpoint Analytics here, the next thing I want to take a look at is if we go to the Startup Performance tab, you'll notice we've added a new report here for restart frequency. This is where that OS restart information is going to live. Now, you'll see here that what we've done is we've given you a catalog of every time that your devices restart. You'll see that we've classified those restarts. They can be either blue screens, long power button presses. That's where the device freezes up and the user basically just holds down the power button until it finally shuts off. Update restarts. These are forced restarts because an update needed to be applied. A regular shutdown, a regular restart. These are just user initiated, or a boot error. You can understand what percentage of your devices don't have these types of crashes. And you can also see the per device average over the past 14 days. We're also going to chart it out for you over time so that you can recognize any unexpected spikes in those error type restarts, like the blue screens or the long power button presses. Now, same idea. If I go to device performance here and I click into a particular device, what we're going to be able to do is down here at the bottom, we'll show an OS version history, which will give you each of the recent restarts on this device, as well as what OS version the device was on coming out of that restart. We'll tell you what category it was. So was it associated with an update? Was it just a user-initiated restart? Or was it some sort of an error, like a blue screen? And if it was, we'll provide you the stop code, as well as the failure bucket ID, so that you can start doing some digging. Now, this is a really powerful tool for somebody sitting at the help desk when a user calls in. They'll very quickly be able to see, let's say the user calls in and says they're seeing 5 blue screens this week. They'll very quickly know, were they all caused by the same issue? Do they have the same stop code? Or was it just a random hodgepodge of errors? And we can use this information to start troubleshooting and get down to the root of the issue much faster than we've been able to do in the past. Now, you may be wondering how you can start taking advantage of Endpoint Analytics. When I talk to IT pros, most of them tell me they have some sort of a cloud service onboarding checklist that looks something like this. They're going to have to go through some sort of internal security or architecture review. They'll need to make sure they acquire the appropriate licenses, deploy some sort of agent, configure access control, and then onboard to a service portal. Well, when it comes to architecture, Endpoint Analytics is a feature of Microsoft Endpoint Manager. You'll notice here that we support devices enrolled via both Configuration Manager and Intune. And we've built the data collector directly into the management tools. For Configuration Manager devices, it's built into the computer agent. For Intune devices, it's built into the management extension. For ConfigMan devices, data will be sent from the client to your local site server, where it will then be uploaded to the Intune cloud through our gateway service. For Intune devices, data is going to upload directly from those clients to the Intune cloud. You'll be able to see that data through the Endpoint Analytics portal within the Microsoft Endpoint Manager admin console. When it comes to licensing, Endpoint Analytics requires EMS or M365 E3 or higher. So if you're licensed for Microsoft Endpoint Manager, odds are you're already licensed for Endpoint Analytics. Now, one caveat to call out here, the proactive remediations feature is going to require Windows E3 or higher licenses on the devices that you want to run proactive remediations on. You can learn more at the link on the screen. So if we revisit our onboarding checklist here, you've probably already done most of the items on this list. The architecture review was already completed when you started using Endpoint Manager. You're already licensed for Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and those agents are already running on your devices. Access control as well. So all that leaves is onboarding to the service portal. And let's take a look at how we do that. It's as simple as clicking Start. You can access Endpoint Analytics by going to Reports, Endpoint Analytics in the MIM Admin Center, or you can go directly to aka.ms/Endpoint Analytics. Once you've onboarded to the service portal, all you have to do is make sure that your devices are configured to send data. For Intune and co-managed devices, there's no further action required for most devices. Now, for certain devices that are running older versions of Windows or their workplace join, for instance, they're not going to be eligible to enroll via Intune, but no worries. We can get those enrolled via Configuration Manager. You'll just need to be running version 20.02 or newer, enable tenant attach, and then make sure that Enable Endpoint Analytics checkbox is checked. More information at the link on the screen here. Now, before we wrap up, I want to offer a couple suggestions on things that you can start doing today. First, start thinking about how you can prioritize the end user experience within your organization. This is something that's going to be a win-win. It keeps your end users happier when they have a great experience on their work devices. Plus, it helps cut down on support ticket volume, which is a benefit for both you and your help desk. The way you can do this is to onboard to Endpoint Analytics today. As we walked through, it's probably just a click away. Now, if you're using Configuration Manager, you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping it current and you're keeping it connected. Like I mentioned, these features are available starting in version 2002, but our app reliability feature comes online with version 2006. As we update Configuration Manager, we're giving you new features with every release, so make sure you're keeping that current so that you can always get the latest Endpoint Analytics data. Finally, use the hashtag Endpoint Analytics to ask us questions or provide us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Here are a couple of resources for you to get started. I've got a deep link to the Endpoint Analytics portal where you can go to onboard, as well as some specific links to things like prerequisites, privacy and data flow, as well as our FAQs to answer any questions you might have. We've also got a whole host of other content available for you in the Video Hub. Make sure you check out these sessions, as well as some of our keynotes. And that covers it. Thanks a bunch for watching. I hope you learned something.